What's up, guys? I'm turning 35 like in 2 days, and I think it would be a good idea to talk a little bit about why I like kettlebell sport so much in my 30s and my general vision for athletic longevity. So when you look at kettlebell sport lifters, the sport obviously is highly dependent also on VO2 max and flexibility and other athletic qualities that degrade with age, like all qualities degrade with age. But the sport is pretty unique that you can have a pretty long peak and you can also perform at a high level for a pretty long time. So when you look at, for example, pretty much the highest level competition in the world are the Russian national championships, or usually the results are in general better than even at the world championships. You sometimes have next to each other athletes. One may be born in 1985 and the other one in 2010. So it's really a sport where you can perform at a high level for a long time, and that's talking about the world-class level. And even after that, you can stay pretty good for pretty long. And why is it even relevant? Well, kettlebell sport demands a pretty good versatility of different athletic qualities, right? You need flexibility, you need VO2 max, you need strength, you need power, you need some reactivity in your tissues, because that's one of the things that, like, when I look at my peers in age and the people who are a bit older, like in the late 30s, early 40s, I'll be honest, like I'm getting almost like I'm getting a panic reaction, because I know I'm not going to end up like the average 40-50 year old, because I'm not like the average 35-year old now, because I'm doing different things and taking different actions to prevent that. But there's so much stuff. Number one is probably the absolute lack of any grace and fluidity in movement. Even when people, I know some people are like personal trainers, right? I know they use PEDs, I know they use testosterone, they have a lot of muscle mass, they look muscular, but they move, when they do even a simple movement like a kettlebell jerk, they move in slow motion. When you're in a dream and you want to fight or run and everything is like you're moving through water. And that's what those people look like when they move visually. There is no reactivity and pop in the tissues and in the nervous system. So that's something that should be prevented, right? Then obviously the endurance, the lack of endurance, when people they get out of breath easily. And that's not even talking about the aesthetics, when they the high body fat, that they lost the sarcopenia, the loss of musculature, right? Those are all things that are just not appealing to me. And I know there's a different way, because I observe different athletes and I see it doesn't have to be like that. Maybe you're going to lose your hair. Everybody's going to get wrinkles. Those things are inevitable. And those things aren't really the stuff I'm worried about so much, because so what? If you look older, you are older. Look your age. What's the problem? But those more physical characteristics and also what's related to the nervous system, that's really what's going to impact your quality of life, and the window of what you're able to do and the activities you can engage in is going to shrink smaller and smaller, right? So why do I choose kettlebell sport as my number one athletic endeavor? Because it's just, like I said, it's fun. You can compete in it for a long time, even as you're getting up there in age. But also it just keeps you honest. If you want to actually compete and put up good numbers, you can't just let your endurance slide. I'll be honest, last couple of months I've been slacking on my cardio for various reasons. But it's going to come back to bite me, and I know soon I'm going to have to get back to like more aerobic volume, right? And you can't just let your strength slide. You can't just let your power, your flexibility, you can't just let that stuff degrade, because if you slip too much, like your competition performance is going to drop. So it keeps you honest. I remember I've been messing around with some barbell lifting, like Olympic lifting variations lately. Like I've been doing the hang power clean right from the hip. Might make a video on that, like really like pure explosivity in that motion, like pure power movement, not a whole lot of technique involved. Probably the simplest Olympic lifting variation you can do. Anyway, posted it to my Instagram story, and somebody asked me, is that part of the program or just for fun? And I answered, well, I guess it's part of the program, because the thing is, in kettlebell lifting, like high level kettlebell lifters will do all kinds of stuff for GPP, because it's like pretty well known that everything that makes you physically more capable is going to carry over one way or another. It's going to carry over somewhat, all things being equal. Like all things being equal, increasing your 5K time by 30 seconds is going to make your kettlebell lifting better, because your aerobic system is going to be stronger. All things being equal, putting 20 kgs on your deadlift or on your squat is going to make your kettlebell lifting better, because everything will feel lighter, right? And that applies to everything. Yeah, some things, like some of the things I do, for example, like shadow boxing, is there going to be a huge direct carryover to kettlebell sport? No, but it does all add up, and it does all contribute to kettlebell sport performance. So that really makes the sport so fun. You can really take a lot of detours and be very versatile while still progressing towards the goal of getting better at kettlebell sport. And when you actually look at the people who train kettlebell sport long term, like specifically trained to improve the kettlebell sport results, you see the athletic longevity and the general longevity is fantastic. I rarely see high-level kettlebell sport lifters who keep training get really catastrophic injuries or get pretty much injured at all, you know. And there are like a lot of examples of kettlebell lifters who have been training for decades, and they're like still performing at a high level. Like for example, like famous Russian lifter Khvostov, who started training in his teens, and then he put up his lifetime best performance at the age of 39, and now he's early 40s, excuse me. So man has been training for 20 years to demonstrate his peak performance, right? So if someone like me, who started in his 30s with kettlebell sport lifting, like I'm sure I can easily make progress for another 5, probably 10 years until I'm early 40s, maybe mid 40s even. So that's one thing people say, oh, like if you make progress in your 30s, it just means that you weren't training properly in your 20s. I mean, that's like technically true, but most of the time it's just cope. Like it's just massive cope, because the only people who were really training properly in their 20s were lifetime professional athletes who really did everything and had the like support structure and the coaching, etc., to make it so their athletic prime completely aligns with their physical prime. But that just doesn't apply to 99.9% of people. So almost everybody, like pretty much everybody watching this, if you're in your 30s, you can get into your best shape when you're closer to 40. Like maybe not in some specific metrics, but overall, right? But like the thing I would like to advise anybody who's in his 30s is like, you can't waste time anymore. Like you're not young, you're getting older, and you need to be serious and very intentional about your training. Because if you don't, that's going back to what I talked about earlier. you're going to see your body and your abilities degrade. Like every day counts. And doesn't mean you have to train every day. Rest days also count towards getting better. Recovery becomes very important. But like you have to work in a focused manner towards a goal. Yeah, and that's kind of like the message I'm trying to send. Denise Vasiliev, another fantastic example, who's also early 40s by now, I believe, and who's still like performing at a high level. And even though he's past his prime, like when he put up his world record in the 80 kilogram weight class, I believe, or 85 in double 32 kilogram long cycle, that was, I think, almost 10 years ago. But he's still performing at a high level and setting PRs in different lifts, right? So obviously, yes, his absolute like potential, his absolute peak is beyond him. But like if you can operate at 90% of your theoretical peak in your 40s, I mean, that's fantastic. You're going to be fitter than almost anyone you meet. So yeah, that's the thing. I guess it's really a white pill, but you just have to put in the work. And for me, kettlebell sport makes the most sense. I made a video about why I believe long cycle is a fantastic exercise for longevity. You can go watch that, where I go a little bit into the specifics about my reasoning. One example I'd like to show you guys today is Sergey Runev, who is one of the most accomplished kettlebell sport athletes and coaches, like legend of the sport, and he's in his 60s now. And here's this video he posted to his Instagram, and you can see like he's in his 60s and obviously like in fantastic shape, like obviously. And that man has been doing kettlebell sport his whole life. Here we see him doing muscle ups with very clean form. We see the range of motion in the shoulders is obviously there, like the shoulder flexion and also the shoulder extension. Now he's switching to what he's doing. One arm hangs, so obviously shoulder stability and grip strength is on point, and he's doing straight arm leg raises, so surely the core strength and the hip flexibility is there. Now he's gonna do the same thing on the other arm. So yeah, it's like just, and a couple years back when he was late 50s, I saw him last compete in kettlebell sport, and he did 24 kilogram biathlon, and he jerked 24 kilograms kettlebells, I believe 120-ish times, a little bit over 120, something like that. And then he did a 10-minute snatch with one hand switch with the 24 and did over 200 reps, right? I mean, those are like pretty good results in the, like, would be for an amateur lifter. Even in their 20s and 30s, that would be a very good result. So yeah, that's really the thing with kettlebell sport, like, because the people who get injured mostly aren't really training kettlebell sport. They're doing like something else, like doing like lifting super heavy kettlebells, whatever. But if you specifically train for the goal of kettlebell sport competition, specifically classic kettlebell sport competition, and do things that support it, all I see is people aging very gracefully and having excellent athletic longevity. So yeah, that's why I choose kettlebell sport for myself. May change in the future. If it does, I'm going to let you know. But yeah, that's just some thoughts. And get out there and keep training, because like you can maintain a high level of ability. I truly believe that. See you guys next time.